So, just want to be clear on what I'm doing today, just so everybody knows. So, as you guys probably know, I'm on an elaborate mission to try to basically onboard as many people as possible to Tez and kind of normalize the idea of NFTs and especially art NFTs in the general wider community. So, that said, I figured I would do a space where we kind of talked about what we love about Tez and what's going on in the Tez community that I would release as like a audio podcast and as maybe a YouTube video, just so more people who are artists and maybe not in the NFT space might stumble upon it and be like, "Oh, that's interesting. Let's find out more." And I feel like Tez is such a great community, and it's a great place for people to get started if they're curious. So I just wanted to find a way to add more exposure for the community. So just I wanted to be clear about that. I am recording it and I will be posting it outside of Twitter in an attempt to just get more people in the know about Tez. If anyone has any thoughts or ideas about that, I'm happy to hear it. And yeah. And then Arena, how are you doing today? I haven't talked to you much today.
Yeah, all fine. I just was in Tiba's space and he made me his silent co-host. So just hopping spaces today, all fine.
Excellent. That's the way it goes. All right. So I think what my idea for today, oh, Carly's requesting. Lily's requesting. Okay. So my idea for the first space today would to kind of start at the beginning and give people an opportunity to talk about what got them excited about Tez. Like, why are you here? Why are you minting on Tez? Why are you shopping on Tez? What do you love about Tez? I tweeted about it, I think Sunday. I asked people what they liked, and I got a lot of great responses. So I think it'd be fun to give us an opportunity to talk about what we love about Tez. I would like to be clear too, it's not an art share space. You are welcome to drop any art you like in the bubble. I also have a Tezos Tuesday like art share thread going today that's welcome to drop there too. But since I want to release this more as audio, it will be hard for people to see the pieces. So today we're not going to be sharing pieces, but more talking about what we love about Tez in general, if that makes sense. And I see Carly. Carly, welcome. You have your hand up.
Yeah, hi, Lauren. I think it's great that you're doing this and helping to onboard more people onto Tez. I am just about to work, so I needed to hop in and be rude and jump the line. But I just wanted to say what I love about Tez is kind of the accessibility of it. It is really cheap to mint. If you make a mistake, this is the place to make your mistakes, because in ETH it costs you money. Depending on what gas fees are, it can cost $20-$30 to make a mistake. So Tez is really great to just kind of get your feet wet in the NFT marketplace. And, you can buy a lot of things for a very low price. Not one of ones, of course, but if you want to get an edition, it's a really great way to make a collection and kind of get interested in the whole NFT scene. So that's what I love about it. And what's gotten me really excited about it is you, Lauren. Your passion for it, and also Ambi, Brain Zest, her passion for it, and also It's Little Things, Joanne. And it's really the community that has helped me to really find my footing in the NFT space in general, but especially in Tez. So that's been a lot of fun. It's been great taking part in all of the wonderful events that have happened to kind of community build in Tez. And so, yeah, it's been a really rewarding experience. And I'm glad to see that you're helping other people join in the movement. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great to hear. Yeah. So I feel like the thing I love about it, it's just like a community, and I've made so many friends and built so many connections, and it's just pretty wonderful to have the support that's here. Like, you don't see that support in a lot of other parts of life. A lot of times artists are very competitive, and it's just really wonderful to see. We all just want to see each other win, and we all want to support each other and build the space together, which is cool. So I guess I'll quickly tell my Tez onboarding story, and then we can go around and you raise your hand and you can tell me how you got involved and what you love about it. So for me, I started on ETH last February, and I sold a few things there. And then around May, when ETH started additions became like a thing on ETH. People were posting additions. I was in a space with Sabode, and Waleed came up and started talking about Tez and how wonderful Tez is and how they've been doing additions for a long time and there's low gas fees and it's, good, better for the environment. Because at the time, ETH was still used a lot of energy. I know it's better now, but at the time it was still pretty bad. So yeah, right then in that space, I made a Tez profile, got a Tez wallet, and I was hooked from there on out because I just immediately found a community of people that was supportive, made some quick sales. And I always say I would rather sell 100 editions of a piece for like $1 or $2 to 100 people that love it than to sell one piece for 100 to someone who maybe is just like, it's an investment. Cool, cool, cool. But I like the idea of Tez where I feel like it's like an Uber like someone likes it so much they're willing to give you a couple bucks, which I think is just like a really friendly, positive vibe. And I think that's part of what the community is so great. So that's how I got involved, and that's why I love Tez. I also have Joanne and Arena. So Joanne is It Is Little Things, and Arena is on Brain Zest right now as my co-host. So Joanne, how are you today?
I'm good. It's been a day. A lot of running today.
Yeah. Busy.
Busy. I just gave a hour and a half long talk about NFTs and how to get into NFTs and, working with those artists that are not quite there yet, who mostly do physical work. And so that was an interesting experience, but it went well.
Awesome. Oh, awesome. I'm glad to hear it. So you're doing some IRL onboarding attempts today.
Well, it was Zoom.
Okay.
To me, it's all IRL.
That's
You
true.
are
That's
all
true.
real to me. Sorry.
That's true.
Some people are voices. Some people are faces on Zoom. I see very little of real life people that I could touch. My husband, I see him daily. But other than that, it's very slim and few and far between.
I mean, I might be AI. Arena and Claire can attest that I'm real, but they could be lying. So you don't know.
We could both be AI, but we talk really well.
Very advanced, very advanced. So what got you into Tez and what do you like about it?
I think I was in some of the same spaces you were in, actually. And we were talking about it a little bit on the side and going back and forth with how did you do this? Did you do that? Did you try this? Did you try that? And I started playing with it around the same time you did. In fact, I think we were within like 24 hours of each other, getting into the Tezos space and getting things on track and moving forward. So it kind of drew me. The community is what really drew me. The fact that Tezos consistently does updates to the object or platform itself. Those are really important things from a technical perspective for me.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. So I've been on the blog, I've been writing, articles about Tezos, how to onboard, what it's all about. And I was doing research in the actual like computer science blockchain of it last week and learned all about how Tezos as a blockchain, I'm not a computer scientist at all, but the gist of it is that the code is written to amend itself. So people who are in the computer science side of it, basically as their security issues crop up, as the technology changes, as we need bigger file sizes or whatever, if people come up with new coding solutions, the community can vote on it and integrate those, which is unique from other blockchains. Because apparently in other blockchains, when you want to make a change, you have to do something called a hard fork. I'm sorry if you guys already know this. I found this all out last week. But if you do a hard fork, it basically explains why if you go on like Coinbase, you'll see like Bitcoin this, Bitcoin Lite, Bitcoin that, Bitcoin, so all these million Bitcoins, because all the times that the chain split. But Tezos was written in a way that you don't have to do that. You can just adapt it forever, which is really cool. And just a fun fact I learned recently.
It is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I like platforms that care about what the people think and what the needs are. So for me, that's a really big deal. In my job, we look for that for any technical provider that we onboard for a vendor perspective. And to me, this is a vendor to us as artists. So we need to be very cautious about what we choose, and we need to pay attention to the offerings that they have. So those are all really important pieces of what we should be looking at. And it's bigger than just us as artists. It is about what we're capable of doing with the product, what we're able to sell it, how easy is it to get a response, and what kind of support do they give. Those are all important pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else want to jump in on that topic? The tech side of it? I'm sure someone here knows way more than I do, but no, we're all artists. We're not computer scientists, but no, but that's a good point, Joanne, that it is important, and we need to think about like how long the chain will last. And we're at the end of the day, we are gambling on which chains we think are going to be most successful. And I like that Tezos seems primed to last longer. Lily White has her hand up. Lily, go ahead.
I'm definitely not a tech person for sure. But I want to just add to that, like all these different websites that are figuring out all these different ways that you can gamify and utilitize. That's probably not the right way to say that word, but make utility out of. And there's several places working on where fans and collectors can collect using debit credit cards, and they never have to touch the actual cryptocurrencies. And I mean, these things are just so easy to integrate into Tezos compared to some of the other blockchains. I think that's going to help us get to the general population, the people who really wouldn't even look at it if it was just crypto, a lot faster. So I think that's an exciting aspect of it as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's a good point that like uh, I think for me, the public onboarding is all about reducing the learning curve. Because right now, even if I see an artist that I love, I have, work for them on Tez, I work for them on ETH, and they're like, oh, I'm into this new piece on Solana. Like Arena, whose brains us has done that a few times. And I'm just like, ugh, like, you want me to get a new wallet and get a new account? Like, I don't have the bandwidth for that. So the general public that's not as into this as we are, they're just not going to put in that effort because it does take a couple of days of learning. So it's really cool that Tezos, is open to possibly doing a cash-based system or a credit card-based system in the future, and it can expand and adapt to what the market wants, which is great. Awesome. All right. Does anyone else want to talk about, why they're in Tezos? I see Bitey. How are you? I don't know if I've talked to you before. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Lauren. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Happy Tezos Tuesday. Awesome day. Thank you for having me. I'd love to share my story with everyone of why I'm a Tezos Maxi.
All right.
In April of 2021, I remember so many people on the ETH network starting to just get so upset. I kept seeing all these tweets about gas fees. The gas fees are too high. They're $200 and $300. We can't afford to mint our art. What are we going to do? And at that time, things were still like the Wild West with NFTs because they were just emerging in popularity. So you had this big movement on the ETH network, and then it just came to like an abrupt halt. Like it just hit a wall because of the fees. Because don't forget, even though the gas fees were high, not everyone's gas fees went through. So sometimes people's gas fees doubled because the transaction just didn't take, because, they tried to do a slower transaction. So, someone on, the NFT system, like, a virtual friend on here suggested I go on Hickeknunk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Hickeknunk, here and now, Latin for here and now. And that became such a popular site because, again, cost, and you could experiment a lot more. Now, the drawback of that site was you just couldn't do collections like you could like on OpenSea. So it was a little bit more I think niche, but for the most part, I would agree with what I've heard so far that it is cost. That is definitely a huge moving factor, but also too, a lot of music NFTs were getting published on the Tezos network. And also, I don't know if everyone knows this or not, but there's a lot of businesses that are built on the Tezos network, like Gap Threads and F1 McLaren. One of is a separate site that promotes music and Sports Illustrated. Like the Grammys are on the Tezos network. Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of businesses, because Tezos is, so to speak, a cleaner, coin, that they're building their business on that, because, it's aligning with, I think, what, everyone's looking for, better environmental support and whatnot. So, yeah, I would say overall it's fun, the community, expense wise, it's fabulous, and accessibility, just being able to buy Tezos directly instead of having to go through an exchange, is great. So, yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you listening, and nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. That's a good point. So I didn't really realize that about the businesses that are built on the blockchain. I knew music was getting big on it, but that's good to know. It's just cool to find out. I feel like every day we find out about new use cases for NFTs in general, but Tezos specifically, and it's just like you just turn over rocks, and there's more and more and more to love. So thank you for sharing that with us. And Sankaria, you have your hand up. Welcome.
Hi, Lauren. It's so nice to finally join a Tezos-based space. It's been a while. Actually, it's probably my third space on Tezos, and it's so nice to be here. And actually, the topic is really good. It's very simple why you like this blockchain, why you're here. And it's such a pleasant surprise to get these little nuggets of knowledge from Baidi and Lily, learning more about the ecosystem and even the tech side of it. I absolutely didn't know the facts that you stated about, Tezos being able to automatically keep itself in check. So that's amazing. Really awesome.
It was really cool when I was reading it. And what's cool to me is I feel like the Tezos artist community has a very we're in this together, we're building it together, we want to evolve, we want to come up with new things, and it's just cool to see that going back to 2018 when the tech side of it was released. The computer technology vibe is very open source, very keep pushing boundaries, and it's so cool that 5-6 years later, the artist community that's built on that has picked up that vibe and run with it. So it's just cool to see that ethos is hitting every element of the use cases for Tezos, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's true. I generally, amongst Tezos artists, I sense more solidarity, more support from each other, and the fact that it's more accessible in terms of collecting. So everyone wins a little more at the end of the day compared to ETH. As for my story, why I joined the Tezos ecosystem, so I'll just introduce myself a little bit, because there are quite a few people here who perhaps don't know much about me. So I joined the NFT space in December 2021, while it was really, really gaining traction. ETH was really at its all-time high. And Tezos as well. I remember when I first bought Tezos, this was in February or something like that, because even back then in February, I was just thinking maybe I should get into the Tezos, try my luck out on the Tezos blockchain. Why just stick to Ethereum when there are other blockchains? So I remember buying some Tezos. I think it was in the order of $5 or $6 back then. Yeah, fun days. Yeah, maybe more. I'm not sure. But yeah, I had full intentions to join, but it just never happened. And then in June, I came across, I think I was having a conversation with Subodh, and he added me to the Tez Tunas group. And that's where I met all of you, wonderful people. And I must say, my NFT journey really transformed, because when I joined, when I was aware of Tez Tunas in June, really there was, the bear market was in full swing, and things were gloomy. Work wasn't selling as well, and so it was really nice. Being on Tezos was a breath of fresh air. Being able to experiment on this blockchain. So in Ethereum, what I felt is that you need to be absolutely sure, not absolutely sure, there's less room to make mistake over there because of the gas fees and the costs involved. So
Mhm.
the artwork, you need to be very, very careful with what you mint. On Tezos also, I put forward my best work, but I can also experiment with photography genres that I'm not, quite sure of how it's going to work because I'm experimenting with it. So Tezos is really, really great for, experimental artwork, and really love all the, different mechanisms you can try out with burning and minting on Tezos. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. I love that about it too. I mean, like as you guys all know, I have two kids that I'm a stay-at-home mom with, so there's chaos in my house at all times. And I feel like on ETH, I almost never mint because I want to read and proofread and double check and triple check because I don't want to spend $30, find a typo, have to burn it for $30 and start all over. Whereas on Tez, there are times where I'm like, I need to get this piece out. And the piece is good, but maybe my writing, I didn't have enough time to fill the description. And I noticed later that I made a little mistake. I can burn it. It's 20 cents. Like, yes, would it be best if I slowed down and triple checked? True, but that's just not my reality. So Tez is great because it's very forgiving of the fact that, we are all the space isn't fully bloomed yet. So most of us still have other jobs or other responsibilities that are our main focus. And we're doing this on the side. And the fact that Tezos allows us to make those little mistakes and fix them without huge problems is really refreshing and takes a lot of the pressure off. And I love that about it. So awesome. Thank you very much. And I was so glad to finally talk to you. I've been talking to you in DMs for 8 months, 9 months. It's nice to finally hear your voice.
Yes, yes, finally. I mean, before June, I used to be very frequent on spaces. I used to probably at least twice a week, I'd sit on a space, but then things just changed. I had to move, life happened, and then now things are getting back on track, hopefully.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you back, and hopefully we can chat more in voice chat.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. All right. So WizardCon, which I believe is Toko Deco behind that account, you had your hand up next. Would you like welcome? How are you today?
Hi, Lauren. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Rita. Yes, it's me, Toko. How are you guys?
Well, great. Having a good day.
Awesome. Yeah, it's usually me on this account. Sometimes it might be Ether, Secret Study, or Spinny Buns once in a while, but it's usually me. We just kind of pop in. But I wanted to come in and participate on the Tezos love space that we're having here. I love it.
It's so much fun to love on Tezos. So how did you get involved in Tezos?
It really is a lot of fun to love on Tezos. I consider it well, it's been said that it's the art blockchain.
Yeah.
Some people say that, and I feel like it is, and that's kind of what has made me fall in love with it. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Toko Deco. I'm using the WizardCon NFT account here, but I'm an artist myself and a curator. I don't call myself a collector, but I think everyone on Tezos also collects. That's kind of one of the beautiful things, right? Because of the affordability of the gas, people are able to do that minting in additions for lower price, and they're able to collect each other's work easily. They're able to take um, artwork, and mint it in different ways, and us also people in different countries where maybe a dollar goes a long way, a US dollar, and maybe they just can't afford those gas fees that are present in Ethereum. So I think most artists on Tezos also have a collection of artwork that they've been collecting themselves, and I think that's a beautiful thing, just being able to discover new artists and constantly just being surrounded with beautiful artwork that is a lot more attainable. I don't know if I don't know if that's everybody's experience, but for me it's been um, more of an artist hub and it's more so than Ethereum. So when I came into the NFT space, I came in to Ethereum because that's what I heard about, and someone told me about NFTs and all that stuff, and I had no idea what it was, and I was like, this is cool. I've been a traditional artist for 20 years, so this was like definitely very different for me. But I came in and I was on Ethereum, like most people coming in late 2021. And then some people I met in Twitter Spaces told me about Tezos, that they were on Tezos, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to learn a whole new blockchain. I have to get a new wallet. I could barely like set up my Ethereum one. I have to learn about a new marketplace. What is this? What's going on? I like at first I was like, I don't want to like just jump on this like trend or whatever this is. And then I find, oh sorry, did you say something?
No.
Or are you just laughing in the background?
Yeah, I chuckled.
Yeah. So then I saw a couple of friends who were like on there, and they were like, yeah, it's so much fun. So I was like, all right, help me set up this Temple wallet, because I'm in New York, so we don't, I think we still cannot have Kukai. We can have Non though, but yeah, so Temple wallet, figure that out. They had to help me. They had to send me like a Tez or two, because at the time you couldn't get Tezos in New York. Like,
Mhm.
like Coinbase, like the exchanges that were available to me did not have Tezos. So New York City didn't support Tezos, whatever, some kind of weird regulation stuff. I don't know. So they helped me out. They sent me like a Tez or two to my wallet, and I was able to start on the object mark. No, on Hicketnunk, and I was like, oh my god, this is a crazy mess, but it was so, like, the culture of it was so different, like much more edgy and like more fun and kind of anything goes, like more punk rock kind of feel, like counterculture. And they were telling me how like it was a much cleaner blockchain, so the whole clean NFTs on Tezos thing was happening. And yeah, it was a lot more fun, and the people who I spoke to who were on Tezos um, were just much more. They were having a lot more fun with their artwork, and there seemed to be this culture of just, it felt more like hanging out with artists that I've known for a while, who just kind of want to do fun stuff and try out different things and talk about art. And it just felt like a different environment than on Ethereum, where maybe people were very focused, but it was very sort of demoralizing for them going into a lot of these show spaces and getting to talk for 2 seconds and then being kind of brushed off, and nobody cares about their work. And that felt like it was a lot more isolating for people, whereas on Tessos there seemed to be more little enclaves, like little groups of artists that just kind of were able to support each other, and it felt more of a community. So um yeah, I joined Tessos, and I love it so much. And even though everything I do with WizardCon and with my own artwork, like I do multi-chain stuff, of course, but I always kind of bring it back to Tezos. And like whenever we do giveaways, I'm like, it's a Tezos giveaway, so you better set up your Tezos wallet. We'll tell you how. So I'm always like trying to bring people back to Tezos, because it's really, um, if you're an artist or a dev or anything like that, like it's really advantageous for you to get to know Tezos and how to mint on Tezos. It's way better. I know there's a lot of kind of indie devs like working on all sorts of fun tech stuff on Tezos, much more than you see that culture on Ethereum. So yeah, I like the vibe, and just the way it's made things more accessible for artists, for collectors, for with all these events as well, encouraging the collection of artwork. So yeah, it's something you don't see on Ethereum quite as much.
You know, that's a really good point. And I love that you describe it as like the punk rock version. That's how Wally described it to me. And my aging emo heart was like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. But I think part of that too is like that the DIY culture of like the late 90s and stuff. Because to me, even if my friends post something affordable on Ethereum, like a lot of people are doing open editions right now, it still kills me to, pay the equivalent of $10 in Ethereum for the piece, but burn $7 of Ethereum. Like if money is going out of my pocket, I want it to go to the artist I'm supporting. And I love that on Tez that, of the 9 Tez, 8.75 or whatever goes to the artist, and the little tiny bit goes to object, and the little tiny bit gets burnt. And it just reminds me of like, you go to a punk show and you buy the band's homemade CD and you're skipping all the record companies that are trying to rob them blind, and it's just like the promise of NFTs, cutting out the middleman, being open source, and Tezos is actually pulling it off. And part of that is the price point.
Yeah, the focus seems to be so different, right? And that price point maybe is part of what facilitates that for people, and I love that. Um, the fact that you can collect many different people's work, and that people can get most of whatever it is that you end up spending on collecting their work, as opposed to on Ethereum where you can't collect a $10 piece without paying $10 in gas. And now, and like back a few months ago, it was like almost $300 for gas on Ethereum. So,
Yeah.
it was even worse.
I remember one day I was like, I'm finally ready to mint my foundation piece. I'm ready to go. And it was the day that Bored Ape Yacht Club released their Metaland or whatever it is. And I went to mint and it was like the gas was going to be $2,000. I was like, oh, okay. Never mind then.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen that spike for sure on ETH when it went like to thousands, and you're just like, yeah, okay, no.
Yeah.
Which like absolutely sucks.
I love that on Tez you can mint on your own schedule because there are no horrifying spikes. If you have time at 3 a.m, go for it. If you have to do it Thursdays at noon, go for it. It's all good. Which is pretty cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I want to bring Poyo up because I know you had your hand up and I think you've been rugging a little bit. And just guys, so you know, if anyone's sending me messages or anything, I am not reading them. I'm so scared of getting rugged because Twitter was being glitchy that I'm like leaving my mic open. I'm just trying not to touch my phone at all. So if you're sending me a message or anything, please direct it to Joanne because I can't look. I'm afraid to rug the room. But anyway, Poyo, welcome.
Hey everybody, how are you doing, Lawrence? It's been long since I've talked to you last. Joanne, Irina, Frederick, Jimmy, Claire, everybody. I hope I've seen so many, familiar faces. It's so nice to hear you guys again. I feel like it's been forever, and I'm so glad that I'm here. Really nice to be with the Tunas, speak with the Tunas again. I'm so excited. How are you guys?
We're doing lovely. And Joanna's working hard behind the scenes because just so you know, there is another Tunas event coming up starting February 1st. It's not just Tunas, it's a couple groups together are working on it, but I'm going to be letting in talk about the details about that, or letting Joanne talk about the details if she's available a little bit later, because that is coming up in a week or two.
So I definitely want to catch that part because I saw the poster earlier when when I was in the space, and I finally have something to mint for it. So I'm looking forward to this one with the tunas. I have missed the previous two events, and I was very sad about it. But now I can. The FOMO is over, and I'm here. So really looking forward to it.
Awesome. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey? Your cat, there is a Tezos NFT of your cat whose name I'm blanking on at the moment. Coco. If you go to my object and you go to my collected page and click it to the very first one, Coco is what appears first. So Coco was actually my very first Tezos NFT, which is a picture of your cat by you. So thank you for getting me started on my collecting journey.
Oh my God, it is the first one. I can't believe it. Oh my God, yes, you. And I think Yeah, there was the I don't remember her name right now. She has been gone from this space. But you two people only have that NFT of Coco, and I miss Coco so much. So I my start was very exciting as well with I think on March 4th, 2022, I minted my first piece on Tezos, and it was a shot, and I minted it. And earlier you were talking about how you have so many things on your hand, and you sometimes make a typo or you have to proofread it. Now, I don't have any of those kind of responsibilities, and you know. I still make those mistakes. So the first NFT on Tezos that I ever made actually has a typo. It's walking away and stepping into the uncone. The N is missing. So
That's awesome.
yes, and I minted it back like March 4th, 2022, and I only realized it like 2 days ago. I looked at it, I was like, wait, is that a typo? Holy
So
shit.
whenever I notice that, every so often I've minted something and then noticed a typo after it's been collected and I can't do anything about it. I always comfort myself by, if you remember the Beanie Babies craze in the 90s, the only Beanie Babies that are worth any money 30 years later, whatever it is, are the ones with misprinted tags. The general ones are meh, whatever, but the ones with like the tag wrong or missing, those are the ones that are actually worth money to collectors. So by making typos, we're actually helping our collectors. So I like to speak of it that way.
that really that lifted the shoulder from my weight. Seriously, I feel much better now. Also,
You're just increasing the rarity of your Genesis piece.
I actually like had a whole scenario in my head to like tie it with another typo, like when I wanna like finish my the collection. So it can be a journey. It's gonna be something, and it's me. I make a lot of typos, and well, now we have one on the blockchain, and Tezos
Yeah.
has been so exciting. Tezos has been one of the definitely one of the greatest thing that happened to me in my artistic journey. With you guys, with the help of everybody here, Lauren, Joanne, Irina, Claire, Fred, and a lot more people here in this space. You guys helped me when I was in a very, very tough situation. And all of those support, all of those love, all of those donations, everything that happened really changed the course of my life. It gave me so much. I was able to, go ahead and be myself without having to worry about all of the things that used to hold me back. And now, whenever I face a challenge, I remember your names. I think about the faith that you have in me, and I think about uh, the power that it gives me, and it really drives me to move forward with my plans to create real change, to be a real ripple. Because a lot of the things that Claire said, Joanne said, Lauren said, Irina said, they stay with me, and I remember it whenever um, um, I'm having a dilemma about something. I remember your words, I remember your voice, I remember your presence, and it helps me to move forward. And I really love the tunas for that, and I really love Tezos for that as well. And I'm here to stay, make lots and lots of good art. I have a project that is going to change a lot of things for a lot of people, and I'm really thinking about bringing it to Tezos. So let's go, let's make history.
That's so awesome. And Irina, you have your hand up. Just something to add to Poyo?
Yeah, I wanted to say to Poyo that for sure, like what you said, that we remember the voices. And I remember when we were hosting the spaces back in the day before you were going to travel August, and like we met so many cool people through Tezos. Like it wasn't just NFT, it was specifically Tezos. Like we made friends with you, with Jimmy, with Seni, so many people that we connected specifically through this support of artist to artist, and I think it's just really amazing. Yeah, so that was my 2 cents.
Isn't it really amazing? I made like 400 Tezos with selling NFTs, like the last year kind of thing, and I spent 500 and like 50 something or 30 something. I don't know how. How did I manage that?
I know the feeling.
Don't ask Laura her ratio.
I know it's public knowledge if you look up on NFT Biker, but I do not want to publicly disclose my shopping spree shame. The struggle's real. It's real, but it's you guys' fault for constantly putting out such wonderful, amazing art, and I'm always like, ooh, ooh, ooh. I think almost everyone on stage I have a piece from. So, oops.
It's hard, Lauren. It's hard. I feel your pain. Absolutely. It's so much amazing work. Like you just can't help it.
It really is, and it's hard too because you feel like right now, Tez is like you were saying, Tez was $5 or $6. When Tez dropped down to like 80 cents, I know it's back up to like 110 now. When it dropped down to 80 cents, I'm like, wait, I can have this piece for $1.60 that like I think its real value is like thousands of dollars, and I can buy it for $1 and hold on to it for 10 years. Like, yeah, no brainer. But I did that way too many times. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Poyo. Your kind words were, I mean, that makes me smile and makes me so happy because I feel the same way about you, and I feel the same way about so many people in this community. And it's just so wonderful to hear that, everyone's like on the same page of just like loving this community and loving the friendships that we've made, and the connections aren't. I know Joanne always yells at people when you say IRL because she's like, this is IRL, and she is right. You guys are real friends, and we built a real community, and the fact that we can't always physically touch each other, it doesn't matter. We still have that strong connection, and Tezos is a big reason why we've made those connections so strong, because we've been able to support each other and cross collect and make an integrated web of wallets, and I feel like it brings us closer. All right. So I had Fred, Jimmy, Simran, Claire, Celanine haven't spoken yet. If someone wants to raise their hand to go next and tell us why you love Tez. Fred had the quicker draw, so I'll go give it to Fred, then Jimmy.
Thanks, Lauren. I've been loving all the stories here today, and I love all the people that are here. As you know, we're all part of the wonderful Tez Tuna community. And my story's a little bit different. I was actually not on Ethereum. I was on Polygon, and I had collectors complaining to me about bridging their ETH to Polygon, and they were saying that it was always a problem. So when I came over to Tezos, it was actually Coinseer, or MacD, as you might know her. She was the one that was talking in the space one time and said, no, Tezos was a great community. I also knew Arena at the time. Arena was the one that introduced me to the Tez Tunas. So it was really easy for me because once I come over, it was just I found my community straight away, and it just really went well with me. I then also found Lily White, who's also here, which is the Tez Town people, and it's just been these two strong communities have been that really have been the what's made it easy for me to come over. And I will say to you also too that it's helped me to onboard other people. It's helped me to get people and say, come over here, get onto the Tezos thing. With a low gas fee, you can, like we've been talking today, you can experiment and do things. I originally went on through the TIA website, and obviously there's my Genesis pieces are there. I still have some pieces there now, but what I find the object is so good because of the collections that you can do, and of course the way you can do collaborations and things. So I've just found it so easy. And being a bit of a tech guy, I did hear you talk about it, but didn't want to get into it too much. But definitely the whole idea that we can have the bakers, and the bakers will vote for us on what they want put into the blockchain, and we've also got a say to talk to our bakers and, you know, have an interaction if we want to. You know, that whole ethos of, you know, being able to have your vote count really does, you know, mean a lot to me. So the other thing, obviously, too, was me doing environmental type art, having Tezos at the time being the least, well, the most eco-friendly chain, definitely helped. But, you know, I just think really the community is the big thing. I think that, you know, all the other stuff I've brought up is nothing compared to the community. You know, we really are a strong community. We've, you know, we really do, you know, how you say, buy each other's work, love each other's work. We also, you know, encourage people, each other. And, you know, these are things which are big, you know, big sort of plus signs of being in this community. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, awesome, Frank. Glad to hear it. I completely agree with you. It's the community is just so it's special. Like it just makes me so happy because I've never experienced this level of just like willingness to work together in any aspect of my life. And it just the group of people that have coalesced here is just all have the same mindset of we're in this together, and it's just amazing. So thank you for sharing that. So I saw Jimmy's hand up, and then Claire's. I was trying to say hand and Claire at the same time. Didn't work out.
Jimmy has no hair, so that would be impressive if you saw my hair up. How you guys doing? How you doing, Lauren? Everybody, I'm loving the love fest here. This is such a love-in for Tezos. This is awesome.
It's always fun to love on things we love, right? Getting ready for Valentine's Day. We got to get in the mood.
Exactly. And you know what's funny is I hated Tezos when I first got into it.
Oh.
So way back in the day, back in fall 21, I used to host or co-host a clubhouse room every Sunday night with an artist named Fiona Ryder. And we did it for like 6 months. And like every Sunday night, and Simran, she's here, she knows, we used to run these rooms from 9 o'clock at night until like 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just chaos. But Fiona's the one who got me into Tezos because what she did was kind of brilliant. Back then, Ethereum was ridiculous. It was like, I mean, just to mint to get on like OpenSea, you had to like, you know, buy into it basically, and the fees were ridiculous, and it was like hundreds of dollars, and it was chaos. So what she did was she went on Tezos and built a community of collectors by her work. She built up enough money to mint on Ethereum, and then was very successful with her collection on Ethereum at the time. And this was back when, like, you know, Tezos was like $8 to $10 a Tez. So you could make a nice chunk of money, you know, selling your work on there. But the thing that I hated is because, you know, she was like, you know, this is the best thing, blah, blah, blah. But Hickignut to me was like Linux. If anybody knows operating systems, it was so counterintuitive. It was just a shit show. And, you know, eventually it collapsed. And then I just fell out of love with Tezos. But it wasn't until the middle of 22 when objects started picking up, and I was like, you know, because there was Calumet at the time. Calumet sucked too. I mean, if anybody liked Calumet, I don't know. But, you know, object was kind of like the closest thing to OpenSea at the time. And it was easy to use, and like it populated from all the other places. So everything that I did do on Hen at the time was populated into object, which was cool. And I still have some pieces that are like on that platform through object, which, you know, people still had. So it was kind of neat, like getting back into it. And then coming into the community here, it was just, you know, when I think of Tezos, I think of you, I think of Joanne, I think of Irina. Like, you guys are Tezos, like Tez Tunas. I mean, you guys are the one who really like brought in and onboarded so many people into this community. So like, thank you for that. And you pulled me into it, and then I got roped into the group, and and I haven't left, and I'm not leaving. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And it's fun to be just responsible for getting people in on the fun. Like, I just love that. And Irina has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly chime in that what Jimmy said about Linux, and first I got acquainted with Tezos was I browsed some Hiketnank works, and it was like so old-fashioned, and I was like, no, I don't want to be here. And then I tried to mint actually something in March on Object, and it just tripled my collection and every item in it. So I ended up with a shit ton of randomly dropped artworks there, and I just couldn't even delete the collections. So I have like from that time two hidden collections with nothing in them. And then I closed it and decided I won't mint it. And it wasn't until the same time when you came. I didn't come through Walid's speech, I think maybe 2 days apart from it, earlier or later. But yeah, but it wasn't until May actually when I joined. So just a very different way. But yeah, what Jimmy said, it was just really funny and resonating.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so counterintuitive, and it was just, you know, things didn't make sense. I mean, OpenSea was very easy. It was easy to navigate and easy to use. But when I saw that, I was like, this sucks. And I was like, if this is how Tezos is going to be, I don't want to be in it. And then, like I said, Object came along, and it was just so much easier and intuitive to use.
Yeah, I noticed lately. So I've been doing that Tezos Tuesday weekly community showcase where people are submitting art and I'm picking just my 25 favorites to feature. And I'm just trying to basically get as much art as I can to be picked up by Google because we are in our happy little Twitter bubble. But I want people to stumble upon us and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. But so anyway, last night I was trying to download the images from Twitter and I was unable to because my laptop just wasn't cooperating. So I was going over to Object to just do screenshots of the images and I realized that the Object website that it automatically adjusts the full size image. So whether you're on a phone, a huge beautiful art screen, a crappy old laptop screen, the whole image with a white background border is always completely available. They never crop it, they never cut it off. I don't know who did that or how. They should give that technology to every social media in the world because an artist, it drives me nuts when people crop my work. But I'm just like, this is so like clearly someone with art in mind built this platform because the fact that I could easily screenshot any image, no matter what size, how many pixels, whatever it was just amazing to me. And it was the first time I really realized that. Joanne, and then Lily. And then Simran. Sorry, I didn't see your hand there.
I just want to say that, when Jimmy's talking about kind of the community of it, right? He comes for the community because we've all been welcoming. In my mind, Tezos is like a gigantic table. There's always room at the table. You just keep adding a leaf to the table, add a chair in, people squeeze together, and we get a little closer shoulder to shoulder, and we just keep adding people to the table. And I think that is one of the most comforting things on the planet, um, as an artist, as a human being, that we always have room at the table. And my art is different from your art, is different from the next person's art. We are all unique, even if we have the same types of art. And there's just room for everybody because there's a lid for every pot and there's a collector for every piece of art. And you shouldn't worry about those kinds of things. You need to focus on who you are as a person, share your story, and sit down at the table and have the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Lily?
Is Lily rugging again? I know she rugged before and I brought her back up afterwards, but maybe she's.
I know it's everything. We'll skip to Simran and give her a second to see if we can readjust. Hello, Simran. Welcome.
Hi, Lauren. Hi, Joanne, and hi, Princess. Um, I think before I begin, I think I was a spoiled Ethereum child. I still am in some way. And then Jimmy came by, and Leo came by, and then I think they spread the Tez virus. But I still didn't understand, back in the days when, like what Jimmy was mentioning. I remember the days when people complain now about paying so much for gas fee. I'm like, dude, we've paid like $100, $200 for gas fee. What are you talking about? But yeah. But of course, I know most people in this space have heard me say this, but I will say this again. And if ever this statement is being used, you know where it's coming from. It's me. I said this in last Vulcan's Twitter Tez space, and I said this in another Tez space also, that minting or putting up your work on Ethereum is like going to the Milan fashion show, because you're like, you have to dress well, you have to wear your stilettos, you have to be well behaved, you have to hold your wine and all of that. But Tez is where the pajama party happens. That is where the real party happens. And that is, for me, I think that's what I realized with Tez, because with Ethereum, like I've always been there, it's like, oh my God, my work has to be at par. It has to be this, it has to be that. And with Tez, it's like, oh my God, there are these people who are just chilling. And why was I not here before? So yes, I think Hikitnunk was like too much for my brain. I mean, it was just like, I don't know, it was like Matrix. But and then Colormint came by because I was at the Tez India event, and then Colormint kind of approached me to speak for women in India in in the NFT community, and that's how I minted on Colormint initially. But then now I think I got kind of used to object, and it's fun because I think as an artist we have various parts of our personality which are in our work. So with Tez, for me, I get to put out different parts of me in little pockets on of work on Tez. So I think that's something I really enjoy. And I do definitely give Jimmy a large part of credit for that, because I think he was hell bent on convincing me to get onto Tez. And I was like, I'm not sure. But then now I think I'm enjoying the pajama party. So yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to add that.
That's awesome. That's such a wonderful way to put it. I love that idea. Toko Deco, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, I do actually. And then I gotta go after, but yeah, I wanted to say it is kind of like the after party, the pajama party, where everybody goes and they just kind of let their hair down and they just have fun. Um, a lot of it is, I mean, at least in my experience, I've gotten a chance to really nerd out on art a lot more in the Tezos community than I have on Ethereum, where lots of people are very passionate about what they do, and they just kind of like we were saying, this pajama party, and you just talk about what you really care about, and a lot more relaxed, casual conversations can be had, and really kind of delve into art, and it's not always commercial. It's not always about that. It's a lot of it is about the passion that you have for the artwork, and truly getting to look at art and what you're doing that way, without necessarily putting your kind of marketing brand, your business face and hat on, um, that sometimes we have to do as artists. But it's been a place, almost a little bit of a refuge for me in terms of art, and I've really gotten to kind of see just a lot of individuals who are very passionate about what they do, and about community, and all these other things, and are not necessarily just here to put their artwork up, sell it, and then kind of walk away. It's a lot more people in my experience that are really attached to this community, as you can tell already today, just from the amount of enthusiasm and love people have for Tezos. So
Mhm.
it's just something, you feel it once you're here, and just how welcoming people are of others talking about their artwork, and really learning about each other. And I think that's the main thing for me that I like about Tezos. So I'm always going to be referring people to Tezos. Also, I don't know if you guys knew, but Marina Abramovich, her drop happened on Tezos as well. And I was like lucky enough to grab a piece some months ago. I don't even know if there's any more editions. She did a bunch of like stills from a performance video of herself on a horse with a white flag, and it was kind of cool. And I was like, wow, I get to own a piece by Marina Abramovic. That's amazing. I've always loved her artwork, and she's been an art idol of mine as a performance interdisciplinary artist. And I was like, shit, like she chose Tezos, and that makes sense to me. You know, that's where kind of the heart and soul of the art community really is. So I would recommend for anybody listening, you check out Tezos, check out the artists that are on there, and at least look through the marketplace, and you'll see that you fall in love with it.
That's awesome. That was a great way to end. Not end, but you know what I mean, because you said you were leaving. But yeah, I look into Marina Abramovic. I haven't heard of her, but she sounds like her work is really incredible.
Absolutely, yeah, check her out. Thank you so much for having this space, and I'll definitely tune into the next one.
Awesome. See you around. Poyo, you have your hand up.
Yes, that's like I really love the how everybody pointed out they see how Ethereum and Tezos differently, and for me n- you know that's the I felt the same thing as everybody said about having to be polished for Ethereum, and here we could relax, and a lot of those this the you know a lot of those decision makings and a lot of that sort of being relaxed helps big times with your creativity. But the fact that nothing anymore holds any ideas over you, you can just be free and creative. And these past 4 or 5 months has been like a super highlight of that in my life. And I think in that way, Tezos really matters. And I realized that we always have to be in pajamas. And you you know what I'm saying. So
No,
yes, yeah.
I know. When you said it brings the thought. So for me, there's nothing, everything I have minted on ETH is from like 2016 or earlier. It's like I travel for this piece. I've edited it 7, 8, 9 times. I've written about it a million times, and there it goes. It takes that long to feel ready to put it on ETH. But because of Tez and because of the like relaxed pajama party feel like everyone's saying, like bought a macro lens, learned how to do macro, and started posting them and selling them. I was inspired by Violet Bond. You guys all know her. She does all the awesome, like in the ground with bones nudes. But I was inspired by her to take just a self portrait, not a nude self portrait, but just a go into the woods with a tripod and take a picture of myself and mint it. And I feel like on ETH, where the pressure is like, this needs to be your absolute greatest of all time. I think what I love about Tez is I keep saying it again and again, but I hope I haven't taken my absolute greatest of all time. I hope the best picture I will ever take is still 40 or 50 years away. So this pressure to only mint your best work, it inhibits creativity because you don't want to try and learn different things. And I want to learn everything. I don't know, maybe I'll be I don't know, some genre I don't do. Maybe I'll be a famous street photographer. I don't know. But I love on Tez that we see each other's work and we're so inspired to learn new genres and get into AI, and that feeling of relaxation is why I think we have the freedom to do that. So that's a really good point. Jimmy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, no, I was going to say too about Ethereum. Like everybody has the idea about it. Like I like Simran's analogy of it. It's like you have to dress up to get on there. But I've put pieces when I first came out on Ethereum, and I sold, and it was cool. And then stuff just stopped selling on Ethereum, and it was like I was looking and I was noticing that a lot of it was collectors collecting for collecting's sake, to as an investment, as a future possibility and such. And I noticed my work wasn't being touched, and I was like, all right, you know what, screw this. I'm going to take some pieces off of known origin and throw them onto Tezos and see what they do. And these are pieces that, like you said, they're polished, they're nice. Like I spent a lot of time and effort on them. And the one piece I put on there was Spring Emergence, And it was like I wasn't even trying. It was the funniest thing. I just took it off, burned it off of the ETH, put it onto Tezos, and before I could even make the tweet, it was sold, and it was Joe Adi, and I don't know. She's like, she told me this story about it, and I was laughing. She's like, I've seen your work on there, blah blah blah. I love the piece, and then I saw it pop up, and she's like, I ran and I deposited money into my wallet as fast as I could before somebody else took it, and it was just funny because, like, to me, it's like there's more of an appreciation from artists for artists' work. Like I really like love the work that people are putting out on Tezos because it's not just, oh, let me take my throwaways from Ethereum and throw them on Tezos and that's, whatever. People are putting out some really A game work on Tezos and it's showing. And I think there's more of an appreciation from other artists who like your work and they see that and they, I don't know. It's just, it made me feel good. So I've been minting less and less and less on Ethereum. I actually am debating, I have a new series if I'm going to put them on ETH or not. And I keep flip flopping back and forth. But I think I might just go with Tezos on it and just say F it and do it. And yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's a great story. I've definitely had that experience of like someone moving from Ethereum to Tezos for the first time, and I like scrambled to get to my computer because I'm like, I've been wanting to collect this person on ETH for so long, and now they made a reasonably priced edition, and I can have it. So I definitely love about that. And just a quick note. So the speakers panel is full. So I there's some requests. We're adding you as well, Joanne, I think, or Arena. One of them is.
I just wanted to say that I have to go because I have a call. I can step down so that you can bring someone else up.
Okay,
But thank
perfect.
you. This was good fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just want to say I've lost track of the order a little bit. So
I'm gonna step down too, Lauren. So everybody take care. Have a great day. I'm gonna be listening, but I'm gonna be working. So peace out, guys.
All right, Jamie, have a great day. If you have something to say, just please raise your hand and I can call on you as you raise your hand because I've kind of lost track of the order a little bit, but I think the conversation is flowing nicely. So if you want to add on to something, just pop on. My child is screaming. I'm going to go to Claire. Claire, I'm going to give him a yogurt and you go for it.
Cool. I actually was supposed to speak about half an hour ago, but never mind. Wow, it's so nice to see you all and hear you all because a lot of people on here. It's true we speak a lot, but we speak a lot on text and DMs, but we never actually speak to each other. So it's really nice to hear your voices, and it's great to hear Lauren's voice and Irina's and Joanne's. Irina, I'm coming for you. I'll be there soon. And I would like to say, Lauren, that actually I've just looked, the first person that I collected from was you.
Oh, yay!
2 pieces. Yeah, that was so much fun. Yeah, I came like a lot of people. We basically all started in the same group, and it was so much fun, and it still is fun. But yeah, at first there was like maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 of us, and at first I can remember Pollo was having these spaces, and basically there were no test spaces at all, not one, and literally we started it, I think. Jimmy, I think, also had spaces, and we got him into our group too. But yeah, it's great fun. I love it. There's no pressure. I've just started now. I said I'm going to try ETH again, and I don't like it. It really is hard work. No, I prefer Tez. I like the atmosphere. I like the people, and there's no pressure. I mean, if you sell in a day, fine. If you don't sell in a day, fine. It seems that ETH, also the fact that it's just so expensive to mint, even though the actual piece itself is not that expensive, the actual fact that you have to pay so much gas is just ridiculous. And yeah, so I definitely prefer Tez, the community, the people. I think we try and help each other a lot more, and I'm really, really happy to be here with you guys. And thanks to Tez, I think we're all together, honestly, because I don't think we would have had this type of community in East.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That I think a lot of it too was like the Tez events, like because Tez runs these great events. I know Lily White with Tez Tunas does that a lot, and it gives us all a theme. It gives us something to rally around. It makes us talk about Tez for a week, and then we all get in DMs with each other and on Discord with each other. And I think the community events really help us really nail down the community feeling and like build friendships with each other. You still there, Claire?
I am. Sorry. I'm in the middle of editing a picture. Sorry. I've just been
no worries.
No worries. Sick of it. I've just been looking at it for the last 3 hours and I'm just not getting it right. Sorry. I'm here. I'm sorry.
Quite all right.
Yeah.
So, but okay, so I will go to Celadine because I know you had your hand up for a while, and then Juliet.
Hi.
Hello.
I love the pajama party analogy. I feel that fits so well. But I think you guys have covered all the great points about Tez. So I joined the NFT space right when the bear market was starting, and I joined on Polygon. So that was legitimately terrible for me. Like I barely made any sales. I was on spaces like every day. Frankly, more than speaking on spaces, I was just waiting for the chance to speak on spaces, and that sucks. And just nothing was moving, nothing was happening. And also my style of art usually is very different from what you generally tend to see. It's not figurative at all. It involves crystals. And it didn't feel like a lot of people were kind of getting what I was trying to do at all. And I was honestly kind of thinking that this was not the space for me. Like, this is not working, this is not moving, maybe this is not a good investment of my time. And then one morning, I wake up and my Twitter timeline is just filled with fish and beaches and summer photos, and it's the Tez Tuna event. And like it just took over my entire timeline for a few days. And that made me feel like, oh shit, I really want to be part of this. Like, this is awesome. Like, I'm seeing people like cheer each other on. I'm seeing people buy from each other right, left, center, which is amazing. I'm seeing spaces being held because of it. I'm seeing threads just related to this. And that's what got me really curious about Tez. Like, I'd heard whispers about it before, but didn't really look into it in that sense. And then I checked out Object and I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. The UI is just gorgeous. The way everything shows up is perfect. So I was like, this is it. And I've not looked back since. Like, I have been in love with Tez. And I think one thing I love about it more than anything else is that it's let me be a collector, which is something I've really wanted to do right since the start, but wasn't able to do because I didn't have any liquidity myself. But with Tez, it's just like, oh, this is only for one Tez, go for it. One Tez, go for it. And then 50 Tez is gone. But I mean, it's honestly what I love about the space so much. Like, the people are welcoming. They're kind of curious about different styles. They're welcoming of different styles. And yeah, it's awesome. Like, I legitimately have like no complaints.
That's awesome. And I love that Tez Tuna Time, our summer event, is what got you into it. I'm glad we had that wonderful, terrible influence on you.
Yeah, I totally love the events. It's really awesome. It's like everyone kind of comes together to rally around one thing and like goes for it. That's amazing. I don't see that anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I'm now that we're talking about it, I'm really curious. Maybe Lily knows. I wonder who did the first Tez community event, like what group it was, what was it about. I'm gonna have to do some research into that because I want to figure out what started this culture and thank them because it's really fun. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Shelanine. I will go over to Juliet. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome. Are you there, Juliet?
Can you hear me? Peter?
I can hear you now, yes. Yep.
Now you're gone.
I can hear someone typing or something like that.
Yeah, I can hear.
Lauren, is it you?
No, it's not me. I hear typing. Maybe Juliet. Maybe if you leave and come back because we can't hear you. I don't know if you're talking. But we can go to Vulcan Studios for now while we wait for Juliet to kind of get her computer back working.
Wait, can you guys?
Lily, you keep dropping in and out.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, hello, Lauren.
Hi, Vulcan. How are you? Are you
Oh my
there?
God.
I'm
Sorry,
trying
I
to
was
talk
talking to a muted
over
mic.
somebody. Can't hear.
Oh, no worries. I got the
There is
I had the whole.
mind talking over. I was events on
Oh,
within the
I think Lily can't hear me.
for object. Couldn't hear me. Right? I apologize. Not.
Lily, you're going in and out. We can only make out like every third word.
Yeah, sorry, Lily. Lily, do you want to leave and come back and pop up and we'll let Vulcan go? Don't know if she can even hear that. Hopefully she got the message.
Yeah,
All right, Vulcan.
I'm guessing she can't
Hopefully
hear
she
my
can get
voice.
her connection
Yeah.
fixed. So we're there. So go ahead, Vulcan.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about like my story of how I kind of like came into Tezos. And yeah, I came into the objects platform was I think August last year. And before that I was on the Ethereum blockchain and all. And then it's just kind of like, yeah, you know how things at the Ethereum blockchain was like. And I think I was kind of like struggling. And I think at one particular point in time I felt like invisible. And then I was in this space, like it was really friendly, it was a Tezos space. um yeah, and I don't know if you're familiar with the host, because I think she's on a long hiatus now. But yes, she really had this like, yes, she had a lot of really amazing artists from the Tezos platform. And then I was saying like a lot of amazing artists as well. Like I got to also kind of like meet Irina before I even got to like talk to her. Like I saw her collection, and then I saw Violet Bond and a lot of cool, amazing artists. So I was like, yeah, I have to kind of like be here. I started on the Tezos platform, and then the host, I think she was my first collector there. And it was just like really amazing because at the same time I think I also kind of like agree with what Selene said, because I could also really like collect arts that I really liked. And yeah, and then I made a lot of friends in the Tezos platform as well. And then yeah, there's one thing about the Tezos platform that I think I just have to kind of like say this, like even if you feel like you don't like you're not going to be collecting anytime soon from somebody, like some like there's just this spirit that is just going to drive you to do that, because that's just the way it is. Like that's just the way it is. I don't know, there's just this spirit about the Tezos platform. And because of that, I think I also had some friends that was also really struggling on the Ethereum blockchain too. And then they were almost kind of like almost quitting and almost trying to leave the space. And I was just like, they should come to the Tezos platform. And they did that, and they were having like yeah, they felt better. like after they kind of like created their collection on Tezos, and then they had their editions, and the editions were kind of like selling, and I was able to even pick some of them, and it was like, yes, that's just one thing I loved about like the Tezos platform.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like that's such a relatable story of, struggling on ETH and then coming here and just finding success and finding a community. It's just over and over and over again. We all have a very similar story. Joanne, did you have something to add?
Yes, Lily wanted me to tell Vulcan she's sorry for interrupting him. She couldn't hear, and she's having some Twitter challenges because we know that never happens, but it is. And then she actually did quite a few of the first events on Hickenuk, and then she was part of Object for Abject.
Oh, that is good to know. I'll have to interview her. Learn all about it. But no, that's what I figured happened. We've all been there where we just like can't hear anyone and it's breaking up. And we don't know if we're rugging or they're rugging. It's a very, very common experience we share.
Absolutely. It's a joy. Gotta love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Vulcan. And I want to go back to Juliet to see if hers is working now.
Can you hear me this time?
Yes, we can.
Yay! So, good afternoon, everyone. It's 10:20 a.m. here at the office. I just stepped away from my desk, and I have been listening for a while. I love everyone's experience. I followed Amelie Art when I first kind of started to open my eyes to AI, and she had this wonderful piece, and it was, everything on ETH was out of my reach. And I had had all these problems minting on Foundation and having to burn everything because my wallet got effed. And I was like, oh no, I can't do anything. What am I going to do? And this piece by Amelie Art was on Tezos, and I'm like, I can afford that. So I set up a wallet and came over, and it was my first piece I purchased in June 22 on Tezos, and then I made my .tez name, and I started minting pieces. And I think Leslie Spurlock was the first one to collect something from me on Tez, and my first NFT collector, actually. And I have been doing artwork and being in galleries and for years and years and years, like 20 years in real life, Joanne, art world. I think I might have sold 2 or 3 prints of my artwork in my lifetime, regardless of all the awards and exhibits that I've gotten into. And I have sold more work in 1 year on ETH and Tez combined than I have sold in my life. And it really gave me a new confidence in myself as an artist. I didn't feel like, my work, nobody really likes my work, so this has completely turned around my whole way of thinking, and learning the technology is really exciting to me. And I do like Tez very much. I have a wallet delegated. I'm building on cyber and spatial galleries with my Tez work in it, because I can't really get to events in my area now that I'm married and strapped down to the house pretty much after work and working full time. And the community of people here in NFTs, and especially this group through TIBA, because I found the Tez Tunas for the first time in the summer event. And it was game on, because I've always been an obsessive collector, and it's like a playground for me. And I'm like, oh, I can collect all this amazing art, and it's so exciting. So I'm very happy to be here and know you all. And I think I've collected a lot of work from many of you. And that's it. That's all I have to say. I love it, and let's keep going.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And I love the idea about, selling so much NFTs. And I think that's another cool thing, especially about Tezos, is, people can mint or create and mint art that might be a little bit darker, a little more offbeat. And I feel like in the physical world, you're trying to sell something that will hang over someone's living room couch, and there's only so many genres that the average person would want. And I love that on Tez we can be like, I just really like that, I just want to collect that, and there's not that expectation of like, well, then what am I going to do with it? It's like, I'm going to enjoy it, that's what I'm going to do with it. So it's cool that it opens up the field to like a wider variety of art types.
Yes. And thanks for letting me come up. I'm going to go back to the desk now and listen.
All right. Thank you so much. And I will go to Tyler James. Welcome.
What's up, y'all? What's up, Tunas? Nice to see everybody in here. Too many friends to say hi to individually, but thank you for having me up. And I love this room. I love origin stories and hearing people's like beginnings and stuff like that. So this is a very cool space.
Awesome. Awesome. So what was your Tez origin story?
Yeah, so I guess I had kind of a weird Tezos origin story. Like I was on ETH originally, and then I released I actually didn't release anything. I just saw a bunch of my friends were on Tezos and talking about Tezos and DMing me like, "Hey man, you should mint something, or you should come over here." Or so I ended up taking some of the kind of digital zines that I used to make on Instagram over the years, and I would post them as like Instagram stories and then make like a highlight. So I used to do those back in the day, and I was like, I hadn't, done anything with that work in years, literally. I was like, but I liked some of those photos a lot. So I was like, let me put some together and put them into like one of one collections on Tezos and put them like super cheap. And they got like bought very quickly by my homies that were in Tezos and stuff. So I made another one, and then that one sold out, and then I made another one, and they just kept selling out. So I was like, cool, this is really cool. I didn't realize there's this many people on Tezos that were like my homies or people that were collectors and stuff like that. And then I was super lucky in getting collected by Misan. And Misan, I love you if you're out there and listening to this, but it also kind of threw a wrench in my whole Tezos plan, because Tezos was kind of supposed to be my like affordable chain, affordable place, whatever. And then he put an offer into one of my NFTs from one of my one of ones from like those original digital zines, and it sold for like 8 Tezos or 10 Tezos, and then he put in an offer for like 500 Tezos. So then I released a collection that was like 150 to 250 Tezos, and he bought a bunch of those. Those all got collected, and then I released another collection for even more expensive than that, and then that got collected. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. So I haven't really launched anything on Tezos in a while, but I launched something yesterday, and released something for like more of an affordable price again, because I want to get back to like my original strategy on Tezos. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but yeah, I had a lot of like interesting things happen right away on Tezos. I got super lucky, and it gave me a lot of fuel to like keep going in the Tezos space. So
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like that you're, kind of circling back now and finding the roots and the reason you got involved, which is cool. And it is cool that, Misan took such an interest in your work right away. Must have been a pretty good feeling.
yeah, it was definitely mind blowing at the time, but then at the same time, I was like, he's the only one that's picking it up for this price. So like, what do I do now? Like, do I list at that price now, or like not? Because like, I don't know what to do. It was quite confusing as well, but it was amazing. So it was, I was very lucky for sure.
No, I know what I mean. I've released, I think, 3 one of ones that I priced as one of ones, and every time I released it, I'm like, hope Misan likes this, because I don't think there are many other collectors at that level in the space at the moment. I'm sure they will come later, but it definitely feels the moment that like anytime you list anything over 100 Tez, you're like listing it for Misan. Hopefully that will change in time, but that's definitely the vibe I get.
Literally.
He created a monster in all of us, so.
But there's an addition too I have out for 10 Tez, so that one is not as expensive.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And hopefully you join the event that's coming up in February that we'll talk about in a few minutes. So just do a quick where we're at. It looks like we have 2 more speakers who haven't talked yet. I want to try to wrap this up before 2 because the baby has awoken from her nap. And I want to leave a little bit of time at the end to talk about the event that's coming up next week. So if you were planning to speak, I would say we'd wrap up speaking in about 20 minutes. So if you haven't spoken yet and you want to jump up, now would be the time to request. That being said, I think either Tommy or Mary Ann were next if either of you want to jump in.
Hi, is it okay if I go, please?
Yeah, go for it.
Hi there. I'm new to Tezos, so I was loving hearing you guys talk about it, and I was just looking for some advice, benefits of being on Tezos, etc. If you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So,
Yeah.
could someone explain to me about Tezos, please?
Sure. So Tezos is one of the blockchains that you can mint on. Right now, a Tezos is roughly like $1.10 American. It's been going up lately. We use either Temple wallets or Kukai wallets, and people mint on a lot of us. A lot of us are on Object.com. It seems to be the favorite website, but there are a couple other versions. And the cool thing about Tezos is the gas fees are really low, like 20 cents American, pretty much. So you can mint a collection and you can mint pieces. And the general culture is to mint like 10 to 20 editions of your pieces and sell them for like 10 Tez or less. It depends on the artist where you get. My baby's telling me all done. It depends on the artist and their own personal choice. But the general culture is just to do kind of more editions for a more affordable price. Basically, take what you'd want to sell your piece for if it's a one of one, and then divide that by 10, 20, 30, whatever its editions, and list it for that, and try to get it in more wallets for at a lower price point than one wallet at a higher price point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say
I've just pinned.
Sorry.
I've just pinned at the top Tezos.art. That's if you're going to want to come over to Tezos, check out Tezos.art. All the technical stuff about what wallets and what platforms to go to is all there. But yeah, it's all answered in that website.
Thank you very much. Another question I had was that would you say Tezos is more aimed for digital creators, or would it be suitable for like photographers like myself?
Oh, it's definitely good for photographers. Like I would say 80% of us in this room are photographers ourselves. So it's photography, digital art, even music, but there are a lot of photographers on the space.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'll have my first Tezos edition soon then.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then we have there's, if you look at the Tezos Tunas or Tez Town, they both accounts. Those are both communities within Tezos of just like people who list and mint, and there's lots of resources and events and ways to get involved. And if I were like getting started on Tez, what I would do is I'd probably go to Tezos Tunas account and Tez Town account and just like follow a couple of the people that are being retweeted on those accounts, because those are people who are very active on Tezos.
Brilliant, thank you.
Plus, we're fun. Funny. Fun.
We have fun.
You know.
All right. Tyler, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, like the Tezos community to me is so much more chill. Like not chill in the sense of there's not serious art and serious artists, because that is not true whatsoever. There is extremely serious art and artists in the space, but I don't know, I've never gotten like a pretentious or like egotistical vibe from a Tezos person that I've run into, like a Tezos artist. Like there's never like that, when you go into some ETH spaces and there's like people who sell really well and they're like, okay, like let's pass the mic off to him, and he's like, yeah, you know how it is, like we're just doing a little chilling, doing a little smoking, made a 2 ETH sale, blah blah, and like you don't ever hear that kind of like tonality and intonation in someone's voice. Like not that there's not confidence. I see confidence everywhere in the Tezos space, but it's more of like a humility based, like everyone's, I'm great, but you're great too, and we're all great, and maybe I have better this, but you have better that, it's very much that. So sorry for the rant, but I fuck with the Tezos space heavy. Like the people are better in my opinion sometimes than the ETH spaces.
No, I definitely feel that. And I think what's cool too is like for me part of it is like I'm very down to be supportive of my friends. I mean, because obviously just personally, but also from like a selfish perspective, is like I'm invested in them. So on ETH, I'm not invested in everybody because I can't afford to be. But I own Claire pieces, and I own Marianne pieces, and I own your pieces, Tyler, and I own like everyone here's pieces. So like when one of you start hitting it big, it's like, oh hey, maybe I got a nice sweet little secondary out of the deal. So I think part of what's forming that culture too is that because we've all been empowered to be collectors, we can grow ourselves, but we can also bet on each other and hopefully grow with each other. So it's just this cool, like, we really are all in this together, both like emotionally, friendship wise, and a little bit financially, because we've had the ability to collect from each other, which I think is really cool and just isn't an option on ETH because it's just too dang expensive. Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, first, I just want to apologise for Lily. She couldn't hear you on her cell phone. She could only hear on the computer. And when she came in, she couldn't hear. That's why she was talking. She was looking at the mics. But I actually want to bring up the other point, which we keep bringing up, is the low gas prices is really what makes this community the way it is. We can experiment, try different things, mint stuff that we're not 100% sure of, and that's what becomes a surprise too as an artist. We experiment and we put something out there. We think, I like this, but wonder if someone else does. And sure enough, because of the low gas fee, we can mint it, and we find out that actually, yeah, other people do like what I like. And of course, the other thing which people haven't actually come up about is the going on object and wallet hopping. I love doing that. You go into someone who's collected from you and you look at their wallet, you buy from them. Then you're like, oh, wait a minute, what have they been buying? And it's just so much fun that way, especially to find artists, to find art. And as you said, we end up then following that person. We click their Twitter, go and follow them, and then we start retweeting them. We start, interact with them. And it just works so well. So, that's just a piece that I think we should bring up.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Tommy, do you have something to add or ask?
Yeah, I would just like to ask, is there a certain way you would go about marketing your piece you would mint, or is there multiple test communities, or but I don't know what I'm trying to ask. I'm trying to ask, like, how would I find the right place to like?
Just use the Tezos hashtag.
Okay.
#Tezos. That's the best way, because there's a Tezos bot that will retweet you. A lot of us follow that bot, and that's how I find artists too. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I often when I'm like just like chilling watching TV, I'll just go to what's called Twitter, and I'll just search #Tezos or #clean NFTs, and then I'll just browse the most recent art and reshare and comment on things I like. But like that's a pretty simple way of just finding it. It's like it's Tezos, #Tezos and #clean NFTs seem to be the two most popular Tezos hashtags, and that's how we kind of discover each other.
Nice one, thank you.
Of course. And then I see Kay Santino is up. And sorry, Marianne was up first. Marianne, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, go for it. What got you onto Tezos?
So the embarrassing thing is, like, I feel like I'm getting really old because I really don't exactly remember. I just had to go to my history, and I see that I minted my first piece on July 4th. And I made a sale like within a couple of hours, and then when I did, I I went to my owned tab and I bought a piece from Claire that same day. I must have like as the minute I made a sale, I went around and bought a piece from Claire. That was my first piece, and I guess that was just the start of something wonderful. And I haven't looked back since. But I'm wondering when the Tez Tuna thingy was? Was it sometime around there, or was it much later?
It was the end of August. So the Tuna Time event we did was the last week of August. It was like a summer wrap up.
Yeah, so I don't know. I remember I feel like I was like an ETH snob up until then. I mean, I started in the space, in the NFT space around Thanksgiving of 2021. And I remember like Emma Samuel, a friend of mine, she would buy things on Tezos, and I don't know, I would just kind of like turned up my nose at it, like stupidly, never gave it a chance. And so I don't know what made me take a second look, but I'm very, very, very glad that I did.
I know that in May, when we all started to onboard and started the Tez Tunas group, we took over Tiba's space on Tuesdays. So many T's in there. And we were doing Tezos Tuesdays in Tiba's space for a little while. And I think like June and July. So you must have just like been in enough of those spaces. You're like, oh, fine, guys.
Yeah, I think it probably was peer pressure around Tipa's spaces or something. Yeah. And then I remember, I think Renee Campbell started minting on Tezos, giving it a shot around the same time I did. So it must have been some combination of those things. But yeah, I love it. I love being able to collect my friends' work. Every time there's a new Tezos event, I see work from someone that I've never seen before that I fall in love with and start following. And it's been awesome. And I have spent much more in Tez than I've made, but that's fine. And I still think of it as like monopoly money. And I don't want to think about the whole tax situation because that's frightening to think of all the things I've bought and all that. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we have to worry about that in the next like 2 months. I'm like, how am I gonna figure that out? I also always laugh to myself. I'm like, I'm really happy with my gallery. I love it. I love all the pieces I've collected. But if Tez ever goes to like $100 or something, I'm gonna be really sad because I have a lot of wonderful art and not a lot of Tez.
Yeah. Same.
We can warm ourselves to the fire of our beautiful art together. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yep.
So Kay Santino, I see you're up here. I haven't met you before. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Another people on the Tez train. How are y'all doing? I see the theme. You're asking like, how do you get onto Tezos?
Yeah, what is our origin story? So most of us in here have been on Tezos since for 6 months to a year, and we're just kind of reminiscing and thinking back to what got us involved in Tezos in the first place and why we love it.
Well, they asked me what's it called to join a long time ago. I wasn't really. I think I was turned off by the object platform. Making the profile was not easy to me, but I actually I've been attracted mostly by the community, how everyone's willing to help at all times. Oh, you need some Tezos to start the profile. They're willing to send Tezos. They're willing to say if you have time, we'll sit together. I'll go through the step-by-step process. I think the most attractive thing until now, I think to date, I don't think I've seen a better community than the Tesla community. That's one reason I joined. And once I joined, it's kind of I also learned. Yeah, that's the main reason I joined. But the best thing I think I felt about Tezos, you kind of feel the same vibe of the value of a sale with $1 and with $100 is the same feeling. That I learned that on Tezos. So yeah, that's the main thing. But I had a question. I think I hope everyone's not going to get pissed off for me asking the question, but I'm one of those who likes to ask it anyway. What's your opinion about the idea of people using Tezos as staking to market their ETH? Is that wrong? Does that sound like a common thing? Has anybody seen that before?
Sorry, so do you mean like they make sales on Tezos and then use the Tezos to buy ETH?
That didn't sound right. They use Tezos as a sales beacon, and if you're buying their Tezos, you shall receive something in ETH.
Oh, interesting. I haven't come across that yet.
No, I was just wondering. Okay, never mind. I just saw it for the first time. I was wondering if that's a thing. I guess it's not a thing.
I don't know. Has anyone else on stage seen that happening or have thoughts about that? I just personally haven't seen it, but someone else here might have.
mind blown silence.
I guess not.
Back to you. I was about to look for that cricket sound and the sound effects, but I didn't find it in time. Oh wait. Yes. I was a little slow, but I got it.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think the space is still so early. I think eventually we're going to all be chain agnostic. I don't think there's anything wrong with, I mean, most of us here are minted on Tezos and ETH or Tezos and Poly. Like I myself, my pin tweet right now is an ETH collection. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I wouldn't have a problem or be offended seeing that. I just haven't come across it yet.
I never saw it say it was wrong. I just started saying, is it a strategy? Is it a common thing? Is it maybe am I doing the Tesla thing wrong? I just wanted opinions like if it's common, what's the best way to do it? Since no one's really doing it, we can't really get ideas. That's what the thing was. But back to you.
Got it. Joanne has something to say.
I don't think there's a wrong way to do any of this. I think everything is so new that trying new things is definitely a positive. As long as you're not doing something that's nefarious, I think that you should experiment and see what works for you, because what works for me or what works for Lauren may not be the same thing that works for you, because we all just work differently.
Thank you for saying that. Appreciate it.
That's an excellent point. I think we've had all the speakers up that have spoken. I'm coming to the end here because, again, my baby woke up and my children are starting to demand things. But I wanted, Joanne, if you're available, I want to pin the upcoming event for February up to the top. Would you mind talking a little bit about that so people know how to prepare and how to get ready? I'm going to go find the flyer and pin it up.
Sure. I can do that. I think I can. We thought we would have some fun for the month of February and do an event. And, it started off as just Lauren throwing out there, how about my one and only? And we were looking at doing really a one-on-one event to help, encourage one-of-ones as well as encourage a little bit of increased pricing. So if all people are doing it together, generally it's working more because you have unity. And then we started talking that maybe not everyone wants to do one-on-ones. Maybe they want to do additions, and the normal conversation of spitballing back and forth and finding out what might work best for everybody, because we're not going to please everybody, and that's okay. But then we came up with the idea of doing my one and only as our primary tag, which we often do a primary tag and then work with other groups in order to kind of bring unity to Tezos as a whole, to object as a whole, however you want to look at it. So we thought we'll do the my one and only as a primary, and then how about we give themes by week so people can focus on different things each week, and allow both one-on-one editions and or like single edition, you know what I mean, or a grouping of 22 editions, kind of going with the Valentine's Day feel. And 22 is kind of the number for love, and then 214 is February 14th for the cost of each edition within the 22 editions, and then having a price for a one-on-one of 14 Tez, and hopefully bringing people together so that there's kind of more of a unity in what we're posting, and in giving us a little creativity to do something different. And it doesn't matter what kind of artist you are, but we want you to tag it with my one and only, and then whatever the tag is for the theme of the week. And we are thinking more along the lines of, and the option is entirely the artist, at the end of the event. Usually we kind of encourage the burning of whatever's left over. But this time around, we're going to encourage artists to change their pricing, to increase their pricing, so they raise the floor for people who missed out and didn't purchase it at the event rate, so to speak. we're encouraging people to kind of raise the prices on those pieces so that they are a little more special, or they can choose to burn them, whatever the choice is, and that's perfectly fine either way. But it's going to be something fun. We're going to try to have spaces as per normal. We don't try, we just generally do. One of the reasons I think Lauren decided that she would start having Tezos Tuesday spaces is kind of related to that. In a way, along with all of her other goals and ambitions, which she has many. But then we're going to have other spaces, and other groups are going to hold spaces as well. And as usual, we are going to do crossover events because, I try to support WizardCon and all these different ones that participate with us. So we try to make it fun, we try to make it inclusive, and we try to make it something where people feel comfortable. As always, there's always room at the table. We will add a leaf, we will add a chair, we will squeeze together, and we will make sure that everybody is encouraged to fit in and be a part of the fun. How's that, Lauren?
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And if anyone is in the room is new to Tez, hasn't done a Tez event, I did on my blog, I wrote an article of like a step-by-step how to be involved in events. It's usually pretty simple. When you mint your piece, you want to put the event tag in the tags on object.com and then post about it on Twitter. Also using the tag, you want to put it in both places. But I also, under that flyer, I linked that blog post. So if anyone needs more information on that, I laid it all out of like with screenshots and stuff. Like, this is literally how you do it. So if anyone needs any help with that, just let me know, because like Joanne said, we want people to be involved. We want to make it easy. We want to reduce the learning curve. We've all learned so much in the last 6-7 months, and I just think we should pass that knowledge on and get more people involved. And I see that Jacob is requesting. I will let you jump up as our last speaker, Jacob, if you're still there. Or did you go away? Oh my goodness. Oh wow, we lost Jacob, but we
You're
love
losing
Jacob.
people
So
left and right.
we're losing people. I did say till 2 with 5 of. All right, so I just want to thank everybody so much for coming to this first one. And like Joanne said, this was totally impulsive. Yesterday I was like, how can I spread Tezos to the wider world? I'm like, I know, I'll record a space and make it a YouTube video and a podcast. And the idea made me super nauseous. And because it made me nauseous, I was like, it's a good idea. I wouldn't be nervous if it wasn't a good idea. So I just scheduled it before I get second think about myself. I can't talk anymore. Anyway, we'll try this again next week with a new topic. A couple weeks from now, we will be doing a share space during this time for my one and only event. But I look forward to chatting with you all about another Tezos topic next Tuesday at 12. And I will add links once I've put this recording on other platforms, and hopefully we can onboard some artists that will love Tezos as much as we do. So thank you all for coming. And any closing thoughts from anyone still on the stage?
Just thank you, Lauren, for this amazing idea to host this space. And let me know if you need any help on Tuesdays. I will be glad to share the Tezos Tuesday with you if you are up to doing it regularly.
Absolutely. Right now, I think it works. We get home from baby gymnastics around 11:30. I feed my son lunch. The baby falls asleep in the car and naps. She napped almost this whole space. So I think this is a good time. I'm going to roll. I'm going to run with it. See how far we get.
Terrifically well done, Lauren. Great job. Way to be brave. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, again. And I think this is the first time in human history that a space is ending on time. I said 12 to 2 and it's 1:56. So I'm going to end it there and take that as a win. So thank you all and have a lovely rest of your Tezos Tuesday. Goodbye.